Now, the story for Max Payne 3, of course, follows the titular character, Max Payne, once again as he pretty much goes into a downward spiral of drinking his pain away because of the loss of his infant child and his wife in the first game. But that doesn't stop Max from working, and now he's not a detective anymore. He is a bodyguard for a very wealthy man named Rodrigo Bronco and his family, and he also works with a partner now named Passos, who is his buddy and friend. During one of the many very rich parties that this family goes to, the wife of Rodrigo gets captured. She actually gets kidnapped by a local gang, and Max attempts to pay off the kidnappers and get the girl back, but it only gets even more troubling from there. Max must find out who's targeting the Bronco family, get the wife back, and deal with his own problems. So the story in the beginning starts off pretty good, I would say, but later on it actually becomes much better. It gets really interesting with all these twists and turns that it takes. The dialogue between the characters is typical Rockstar games, which means it's awesome, but I gotta admit the inner dialogue stuff with Max Payne just pretty much narrating throughout the entire game his inner problems is so good. It really is. It's easily the best stuff in the game. He's so witty and cynical, but you still feel sorrow in his voice, and even when you look into his eyes you feel sorrow. You really feel bad for him and you root for him all the way through. Overall, the story is excellent, even though it starts off only being good, but still it's excellent nonetheless. Let's go on to the sound. Now let's talk about the sound. The voice acting is absolutely phenomenal in this game, and of course it's Rockstar, so you would pretty much guess that, but the standout here being James McCaffrey, who reprises his role as Max Payne. He gives the right amount of wit, anger, and sadness to the character, which has always been a part of Max Payne, and he just does an absolutely amazing job in this game. Also, as a side note, he actually motion caps the entire game as Max Payne as well, which is really neat. And I guess that's literally embodying your character, because every time you see his face, every time he moves, that's James McCaffrey, which I thought was really cool. The sound design is fantastic with all the gun battles and explosions sounding like it's straight out of a movie. Soundtrack is very sparse but adds to the tension and emotion of some of the key scenes of the game. I especially love the use of the classic Max Payne noirish sounding theme, used perfectly at the right times. Overall, the sound is Rockstar, so it's awesome. So let's go on to the graphics. Now the graphics. The longer I spent with the game, the more I realized how beautiful and breathtaking it all looked. The character models, especially for Max Payne, all have a very realistic and somewhat gritty look to them. You don't have that dead-eye expression that you do in most games out there. The animations are also very realistic, thanks to the Euphoria animation engine. Gotta give credits, gotta give kudos. Kudos, which gives each body part a non-ragdollish look to them when they fall or get shot. You know how a ragdoll looks, it just like flies around and the arms just flail around all stupid like? It's not in this game. It looks very realistic. The environments vary from clean and rich to poverty-filled, dirt-covered streets. All of these are very well modeled with a variety of different textures and models throughout. There isn't much repetition graphic-wise in this game. Overall, Rockstar has done it again, but this time in a much more closed-off environment, meaning it's not a free-roam game, but it is their best-looking game to date, in my opinion. So anyway, let's go on to the gameplay. Now, the gameplay in Max Payne 3 takes the noir style of the first two games and somewhat gets rid of it and sets the game in Brazil. What you still get is the third-person shooting and of course the bullet time, which Max Payne has been very famous for. The gunplay feels like a much more tighter or cleaner version of Red Dead Redemption's, especially since that game also had its own bullet time mode in it. It feels real good to shoot enemies in the game, and you definitely get that feeling of bullet hitting flesh that I am weirdly a fan of. I don't know why. I feel weird when I think of that. Like, oh man, look at that bullet went through that skin, yeah. But what makes the gameplay even more fun and gruesome is the bullet time, which is implemented so perfectly into this game. If you were worried that it wouldn't be as fun as it was 10 years ago when Max Payne 1 and even 2 came out, then do not worry, because it is, and even more. Now, to execute the bullet time, you have to fill up the bullet time meter, and to do this you have to kill people in regular motion, which is, I know, strange. You have to actually play the game in regular motion. The whole game isn't just bullet time. You actually have to fill up the bullet time meter, and when you do, you can execute it by just pressing the R3 button or the right thumbstick, whatever the frick it's called on Xbox, and you press press it in and then you automatically go to bullet time, or you can dodge in either left or right or front and back, and it automatically goes into bullet time, and you can shoot while you're in the air, and it's so awesome. Also, sometimes while you're in bullet time mode, the camera will follow your bullets and just show you exactly where the bullet will hit someone, and it will show like blood spewing everywhere if you hit him in the head, and you'll see this big hole in his head, and it's freaking awesome. It really is. It's very bloody, but so much fun to watch. Now, Max Payne 3 also adds a cover system to the game, which I felt is a very needed addition to the game, and it works perfectly. Overall, the gunplay is very tight, smooth, and entertaining, especially the bullet time, which has been updated perfectly in this game. Now, Rockstar also added 2 brand new modes, an arcade mode and a multiplayer mode. Arcade mode puts you right into the action and lets you try and get a high score pretty much. It's fun, but the multiplayer is where it gets real good. It takes the gameplay of the single player and adjusts it for the multiplayer just a bit. You even have bullet time, which actually slows you and your target down, which is probably the best way to implement it into the multiplayer. I mean, it would suck if you slowed down and then everybody slowed down too. I mean, that would be really annoying. But it luckily only slows down whoever you're looking at. Now, in the multiplayer, you have plenty of standard modes like deathmatch, team deathmatch, and objective type modes, but one that I really enjoyed is Gang War, which takes story elements and adds them to the multiplayer. You have 5 rounds, each of which will include different objectives for you to do, and I thought it was a lot of fun. It always keeps the game fresh, because every time you play a different Gang War, it's always somewhat different objectives every time. Of course, you level up in the game, and while you level up, you acquire new things to buy with the money that you acquire while playing. Some of these things include new weapons, perks to add to your character, and even clothing for your character. I would say the multiplayer reminded me so much of Uncharted 2 and 3's, but with better gameplay, bullet time, and less platforming. I thought the multiplayer was a well done and not rushed addition to the Max Payne series, and overall I think Max Payne 3 is one of the best games I played this year. A great story with a complex main character, phenomenal voice acting, beautiful graphics, and a gameplay that feels oh so good. Max Payne 3 is not a game you should miss at all. Go and get it because it is fantastic. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my review. Thank you and goodbye. Also, remember to follow me on Twitter and like my Gore the Movie God Facebook fan page. Links in the description. Thank you for watching this video, and goodbye.